Hello and welcome. Have you ever looked at a big company and wondered, how do they actually get things done? How does some grand high-level vision turn into a real, tangible product you can hold or use? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on exactly that. We're talking about the path from big picture strategy all the way down to the individual projects that make it all happen.
So let's start with a question that, let's be honest, can be super frustrating. You have a fantastic idea. You know it'll be a success, but for some reason it gets rejected. Meanwhile, some other project just seems to sail right through. Why is that? What's the secret sauce? What's the real deciding factor here?
Believe it or not, it often comes down to this one simple word: strategy. See, it's not just about having a good idea. It's about having the right idea, one that slots perfectly into the company's grand plan. And to really get that, we need to start from the very beginning.
Okay, so think of any company, big or small, as a ship at sea. To get anywhere, it needs a compass, a strategic compass. Let's break down the three parts of this compass that guide every single decision they make. First up, you've got the mission. This is all about the now. It's the company's anchor. It answers that fundamental question: why are we even here? What is our purpose today? It's the reason everyone shows up to work in the morning.
Then you have the vision. Now, if the mission is about the present, the vision is the destination on the horizon. It's that beautiful, aspirational future state the company is sailing towards. It's the answer to the exciting question, where are we ultimately trying to go? And finally, strategy. This is the crucial part. The strategy is the bridge. It's the actual roadmap that lays out how the company is going to get from its present mission to its future vision. And guess what the individual steps on that roadmap are? Yep, they're projects.
So let's just boil this down. The mission is your why, right now. The vision is your where, way out in the future. And the strategy is the how, the path that connects the two. If your project doesn't fit on that path, it's probably not getting the green light. Simple as that. All right, so let's say your project is aligned with a strategy. It's a go. What does it actually need to succeed? Beyond just being a good idea, there are some well-known factors that are absolutely crucial for getting it done right. Now, in German project management, there's a technical term for this: Standard-Erfolgsfaktoren. I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but it translates really simply to standard success factors. These are basically the tried and true ingredients you find in pretty much every successful project. Let's run through these because they are so important. First, good communication. Obvious, right? But it's key to keeping everyone on the same page. Second, clear requirements and goals. Everyone has to know exactly what they're building and why. Third, adequate and suitable resources. You need the right people, the right tools, right from the start. Fourth, top management support. This is huge. It gives the project the authority it needs to push through roadblocks. And last but not least, qualified project management staff. You need a skilled captain to steer the ship. These 5 factors are so critical to a project's health. Let's just run through them one more time to really let them sink in. Okay, here we go again. The 5 keys are good communication, clear requirements and goals, adequate and suitable resources, top management support, and of course, qualified project management staff. Seriously, these 5 things are the absolute bedrock of getting a project done successfully. So, you've got a great idea, it's aligned, you know what it needs to succeed, but how do you officially make your case? You can't just sketch it on a napkin. You need a formal way to prove it's worthwhile. And that document is called a business case. This is where you lay it all out: the benefits, the goals, and why it makes economic sense. The person who's ultimately responsible for this is the Auftraggeber. Now, in English, we'd call this person the project sponsor, or sometimes the client. They're the project's champion. So, a quick question. Does every project have to make a direct profit? Well, not always. Sometimes the goal is strategic. You're doing something now that will set you up for revenue way down the line. And other times, you just have to do a project. These are called Zwangsprojekte, which literally means compulsory projects. A perfect example is updating your systems because of a new law, like the DSGVO. You've probably heard of it by its English name, GDPR. Same thing, different abbreviation. Okay, so let's imagine you have a few different options on the table. Maybe a few different project ideas or a few different ways to tackle one project. They all seem pretty good. How do you pick the one that's the most strategically sound?
Well, there's a really cool tool for this called a Nutzwertanalyse. The English equivalent is a utility analysis, or more simply, a scoring model. It's just a structured way to compare your options, say software A versus software B, by scoring them against a list of criteria that you get to weigh based on what's important. And here is where it all comes full circle, right back to strategy. The way you weigh those criteria depends completely on your company's strategy. So, if your company's strategy is all about being the low-cost leader, you're going to give the purchase cost a super high weight. But if your strategy is about being an innovator, you'll probably give a much higher weight to something like user-friendliness. The strategy literally tells you what matters most. But remember, a tool is only as good as the person using it. For this analysis to be truly useful, you have to include all the right criteria. And, just as importantly, you have to make sure you're getting input from the key stakeholders. The actual people who are going to be affected by this decision. Phew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground here, right? From that 30,000-foot view of a company's vision all the way down to the nitty-gritty tools for making choices. So let's do a quick recap of the main takeaways. So here's the bottom line. Projects, they're how strategy stops being a PowerPoint slide and starts being reality. A company finds its way using its compass, the mission, vision, and strategy. Every single project needs a business case to prove why it should exist. And when you have to choose between options, a utility analysis helps you make a choice that fits the strategy. And if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that strategic alignment is everything. It's the absolute key to getting your project approved and ultimately to making it a success. So, with all that in mind, I'll leave you with a question. Think about your next big idea, your next project. How are you going to weigh your criteria to make sure it aligns perfectly with your company's ultimate vision? That's the real challenge. Thanks for tuning in to this explainer.